Senator John Cornyn of Texas has come out in defense of the Trump administration's use of tariffs, asserting that they are necessary to address the unfair trading practices employed by other nations, which have, according to him, contributed to the long-term deindustrialization of America. Cornyn, who is a key Republican figure in the Senate, expressed his belief that the tariffs were essential in forcing countries like China and others engaged in unfair trade to play by the rules. He stressed that these practices have been detrimental to American industries, jobs, and the overall economy. For years, Cornyn has argued that the USA has been at a significant disadvantage in global trade, leading to job losses in manufacturing sectors and the erosion of American economic strength. Cornyn made these remarks during a Senate hearing where he engaged with USA Trade Representative Jamieson Greer. He emphasized that tariffs were not a new strategy but had been discussed by President Trump for decades. While some Republicans have expressed reservations about the impact of these tariffs, Cornyn remains a staunch supporter, believing that they are necessary to restore fairness in trade. He also pointed out that Trump's policies aimed at addressing trade imbalances were part of the broader mission to ensure that American companies and workers had a level playing field when competing globally. However, Cornyn's position stands in stark contrast to some of his Republican colleagues, including Senator Ted Cruz, who has openly criticized the tariffs as potentially harmful to the USA economy. Cruz has warned that the tariffs could ignite a trade war that would negatively affect American businesses, increase prices for consumers, and destroy jobs in sectors that rely on international trade. Cruz, along with others in the GOP, has expressed concern that the economic fallout from these tariffs could outweigh any potential benefits. Similarly, Senator Rand Paul has been a vocal critic of Trump's tariffs. He has referred to them as a form of tax on American consumers and businesses, arguing that tariffs would lead to higher costs for products, especially those that rely on imported goods or raw materials. Paul, a libertarian-leaning Republican, has long opposed protectionist measures, believing that they undermine free market principles. He has called for a reduction in tariffs and more focus on fostering international cooperation to address trade imbalances through diplomatic channels, rather than punitive economic measures. Despite the criticisms from these Republicans, Cornyn remains optimistic about the ability of the Trump administration to strike fair trade deals with other nations. He believes that many of America's trading partners are eager to engage in negotiations aimed at reducing tariffs and resolving trade disputes. Cornyn suggests that the global community is aware of the issues surrounding trade imbalances and unfair practices, and that there is a window of opportunity to reach agreements that benefit both sides. His confidence in these potential deals stems from the notion that both sides can come to the table with a shared interest in resolving the conflict. Cornyn also made it clear that the tariffs were not intended to be permanent measures, but rather temporary tools to encourage other nations to adhere to fair trade practices. He argued that once these issues were addressed through negotiated agreements, tariffs could be reduced or even lifted. He pointed to the success of past negotiations, including deals with Canada and Mexico under the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, as proof that diplomatic efforts can lead to successful trade resolutions. On the other hand, critics of Cornyn's position argue that the tariffs have caused significant disruption in the global economy. Many USA businesses, particularly those in the retail, technology, and agriculture sectors, have faced higher costs for goods and raw materials as a result of the tariffs. These increased expenses have often been passed down to consumers, leading to higher prices for everyday products. Moreover, some analysts argue that the tariffs have hurt American farmers who rely on exports to international markets, particularly in Asia, where trade restrictions have limited their access to key buyers. While Cornyn remains hopeful that the situation will resolve through negotiations, the future of USA trade policy remains uncertain. The Biden administration has indicated that it may review the tariffs imposed by the Trump administration, but no immediate changes have been announced. As global trade dynamics continue to evolve, the USA will need to balance the need for fair trade with the potential economic consequences of protectionist policies. Looking ahead, Cornyn's support for tariffs aligns with the broader Republican Party's populist shift, which has been influenced by Trump's approach to economic policy. Many Republicans now view tariffs as an essential tool to protect American industries and jobs, even if these policies come with short-term pain. However, the broader Republican consensus on tariffs is far from unified, with some members pushing for a more open trade agenda, and others, like Cornyn, arguing for a more aggressive stance against unfair practices. As negotiations with trading partners continue and the impact of tariffs on the USA economy becomes clearer, the debate over Trump's trade policies is likely to intensify. Cornyn's comments reflect a belief that standing firm on tariffs is necessary to address systemic trade imbalances, but it remains to be seen whether the strategy will ultimately yield the desired results. With the stakes high and the future of global trade uncertain, the next phase of this trade war could have far-reaching implications for the USA economy, international relations, and future policymaking.